Welcome to another episode of the Wholesale Elite Podcast. Guys, my name's Isham and I am here with my handsome co-host, Mr. Tanner Santucci. And we've got a phenomenal guest today. This is a gentleman who I've actually just fairly recently been introduced to, but Tanner has a great working relationship. So Tanner, I'm going to pass it over to you for the intro.
Yeah, so we have our good friend here, Reda. He's newer to the wholesaling. Just did his first deal essentially last month. So it's going to be nice to kind of pick his brain and see how his mindset and how he thinks and what it took for him to get transitioned from getting his first deal to now. Let's see how he can get a second deal and what it's going to take for him mentally and compare. So 100%. With that being said, Reda, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into wholesaling and real estate in general?
Well, number one, thank you guys for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. It truly is a pleasure.
Absolutely.
But so I was about 16 years old, just on TikTok scrolling, and I kind of ran across Kong, if you know who that is, let's go get this money.
Yeah.
Kind of ran across his videos, and he's like, wholesaling real estate, you can make so much money from this stuff. And I'm like, what is this stuff? So I kind of go look it up, run across Jerry Norton's videos, actually. Start kind of watching, consuming his content. And it took me like a year to actually start taking action. So then I'm just kind of in that stage where I'm just kind of watching. I'm like the spectator. I'm like on the outside. So I'm just kind of watching, but I'm not really taking action because I'm scared. So then one day I'm in school, second hour, I believe it's geography or something like that, senior year. And I'm just like, I got to do something about it. I got to make this first call. Like, I'm going to stay in the stage. I'm not going to make any progress. I need to make this first call. So then I get home. I'm like kind of stuttering and just scared for 20 minutes to kind of click that call button, like shaking. I finally hit call and I'm just kind of like talking a little bit, but then I'm like stuttering a lot. And I remember my first few phone calls, I call up the seller and I'm like, don't know what to say, hang up right away. And then just kind of like the fast hang up, like you call, do your little introduction, then hang up pretty quick. But then I remember this one day, I stayed home from school and I actually had a full conversation with an agent without leaving, without anything. And I'm just like, dude, I did it. Like I made my first call. And then my confidence just spiked up over there. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me keep doing this. So then with school going on, it was kind of hard to manage. Second trimester, I didn't have a third hour. So what I would actually do, I'd bring my whole computer and my setup, go into a pod area, just like a private room. And I'd try to make as many phone calls as possible just in that hour during school. And that's kind of how I got started and how I kind of got better, learning this business. And then right when I got home after school, I would go make a few more calls, but I wasn't as consistent. And I was kind of still getting the hang of the real estate thing.
So let me get this right. You were making phone calls while in school, in high school?
Yep.
In a pod?
Yep.
Who are you calling? Are you calling for sale by owners or who are you calling?
So at first it was like for sale by owners and real estate agents as well. So I was kind of calling both. No one specifically, whatever, kind of deal I could find. Like the numbers and everything worked out. But started calling real estate agents, some sellers, but then kind of just moved on to on market with agents from there.
So what? Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
Dude, hang on. Okay, so you said you're a student. How old are you? What's your story?
I was 17.
Whoa, this is high school.
And so what I did, since you have to be 18 to actually sign a purchase and sales agreement, I talked to my friend. I'm like, hey, if I run across anything and if I get anything locked up, can you sign for me? And I'll just give you like a little fee, just for kind of signing, but I'll do all the work. Just kind of sign, for my.
So you're out thinking. I know most 17-year-olds because at 17 I would have never thought of to jump into real estate. So
this was all into my mind. Like, I've always just loved that luxury lifestyle, financial freedom, learned a lot about it. And after with COVID and everything happened, everything just hit me. Just like, this is all like, I don't want to get a job and do this for the rest of my life. Like I truly want to do real estate and have this freedom.
So Reda, let me ask, there's a lot of podcasts out there that will break down all the how-tos, and I'm sure there's, other stories out there of high schoolers getting started. And I know one myself, a dude named Andy Wrong's crushing it, but I don't know I think he's still in high school. But anyways, I don't want to go too much into the how-tos and whatnot. I'm obviously blown away that you were 17 when you first got started, but I want to dig more into your mindset, brother, because most 17-year-olds aren't that resourceful. Maybe there's some hustlers out there, but usually the second you run into an obstacle, you usually kind of, shut down, especially one, of the size of real estate. So let's rewind back a little bit. What's your family life like? What's your upbringing? Do you have parents who are entrepreneurs? How did you learn to be this resourceful at such a young age?
So I actually don't. I come from a, pretty poor background actually. And, that's honestly taught the most lessons in life is that, you're stuck in the situation and you have to be the one to make the change. Everything is on you. You have to be the one to change your life and your family's life forever. So that kind of hit me at a young age. And I'm just like I have to do this. Like, I can't stop. Like that, the times where I just want to sleep, I just want, what, I don't even want to make these calls today. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I can't do that to myself. Like everyone, they're waiting for me. Like, I need to make a change in this family and for myself. So I kind of hit me at a young age. That's why I just kind of started committing to real estate.
I love that. What do you think separates you from, other kids your age? Because I'm sure you're around, friends and whatever, but what other than just your upbringing and, wanting to be the difference in your family, I mean, what pushed real estate? Because like you said, real estate, you get a lot of no's, mentally you get beat down, especially when you're cold calling and you're talking to agents and you're learning and all this in between. So what do you think separates you from not only just, other kids your age or other teenagers your age, but from other real estate investors in general? I mean, there's got to be something about you that keeps pushing you.
I'm not sure. I've always just had that in me to become stronger and better, like every single day. Like, I go to the gym. I'm very consistent with that. So honestly, the gym and that discipline, I implemented that into real estate, and I kind of use it the same way and just overall in life. Just like, you have to be the best. And, I don't have a lot of friends that kind of have the mindset I do. So I've kind of just been, independent with myself, just kind of, holding on, just kind of keeping that strong mindset throughout.
What did you do prior to real estate?
Prior to real estate, I didn't really, all I had was just the gym. I didn't really, know what I was doing. I was kind of looking into drop shipping because I saw that around TikTok a lot, but I'm just like, this it's kind of dated. Like, why is someone going to choose my website out of all these other websites, more professional websites? And then you have that big competitor, Amazon, that it's up there. Like, why is someone going to choose me over Amazon? Right. So I'm just like, drop shipping, it's kind of dead. Let me look for other things. And then I ran across real estate and I'm like, I want to do this with my life. This is something I want to do. I want to commit fully to this.
So you said you found wholesaling through TikTok, right?
Correct.
From Khan. So yep. I guess like you said, you were kind of dabbling. You already sound like most entrepreneurs, because most entrepreneurs they're trying to figure out ways to make money without working for someone else. So drop shipping is a real common one between all entrepreneurs. At some point, we've all tried to sell stuff online or flip stuff, blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, literally, why? Like, what was it? Was it the money that you heard you could make from real estate? I mean, why wholesaling? Because if you were thinking of drop shipping or all these other things, like those make a lot of money too. But what stood out about is it the lifestyle that you're looking for? Like, what about it?
So it is a lifestyle and also just real estate. I've always just loved, luxury homes and all that. Like sometimes I just go on my car late at night, driving very nice neighborhoods and, the 2 million and up price neighborhoods. I just love driving, looking at these homes. It's like, I truly love real estate. And like, I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be like a realtor. I didn't really know too much. Like, I can look at these luxury homes and stuff. But then I kind of ran across, real estate investing, such as wholesaling. And I'm just like, this is something I want to do. You get the time, the money, and the freedom to do what you want in life. So I'm just like, this,
100%.
like, I need this. Like, this is for me. Like, I don't want anything else. I don't want to do like these stock trading stuff. Like, I'm going to commit fully to real estate. There's no backup plan. It's just real estate. Only one thing, and you have to commit fully to it, and you're going to succeed 100%.
No, I love that.
What's been your biggest challenge so far, Reda?
So far, well, right now it's definitely the declining market. That's kind of, scaring a lot of buyers away, and you have to lock up a really, really good deal at the moment. So that's kind of holding me back right now at the moment. But I know I'll tackle that obstacle. And I'll definitely get better and better. Because after everything, like every time before when I locked up a deal that was overpriced, I always was like, you always learn something. So I locked up that deal. I'm like, that makes sense. It was overpriced. Let me keep trying. Let me find another deal. And then I locked up this one deal in Indianapolis in Fountain Square, ran across Tanner here, and I kind of showed him the deal. And the deal was overpriced. I didn't really know how comping worked. Really, I'd compared a 2-story home to a single story.
Yeah, your comps weren't the best, Bubba.
Yeah, they weren't good at all. Then I had Tanner here help me out and kind of teach me and walk me through that. And that's how we were able to close that deal in Indianapolis. It's all thanks to you, Tanner. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. I like working with hustlers. You're a hustler, so
appreciate it.
I like working with people that learn, that can accept criticism and not fight the criticism, but use that criticism to become a better, not only real estate investor, but just a better person. And grow.
And I'm always out for knowledge, and I'm always out to learn new things. So thank you.
That's why you're going to succeed.
That
is why you're going to succeed. Yeah. So it's funny. So you get a lot of, like we were saying earlier, you get a lot of FUs and no's, and I know you're a little bit newer to the off market. What's been something that stood out to you between, calling agents and calling just direct to seller? What's that like mentally for you?
So it's definitely a difference, kind of knowing what to say, because sellers are a lot different than agents. Sellers are more emotional than agents because it's their property that they're selling. So I kind of ran across from that. And sometimes when you throw out a nice an offer, the seller gets offended and just hangs up on you. Just like, I'm not even gonna, deal with that. So I've kind of ran across that, and also knowing what to say. There's different things to say to sellers and to say to agents. So just kind of working off market at the moment, I'm kind of learning and getting better at kind of dealing with, direct to seller than with real estate agents at the moment.
How long did it take you after you got started? So I know you said a year, right, for your first deal, but was that a year of just calling and hitting the phones, or was it a year of learning? Or
it was about 8 months. So when I started calling and actually taking action in the business, it took about 8 months. I've locked up about 4 properties under contract prior to that, but they were all overpriced, not deals. Now that I look back at it, I'm just like, why did I even lock that up in the first place? Like what was I doing? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, it's definitely a learning experience, but it was about 8 months until I got that first deal.
So let's do this real quick then. So if you had your 8 months, like Isham just asked, but what roadblocks did you have that kept you in that analysis paralysis stage, right? Like, was it the fear of getting the no's? Was it the fear of messing up? Like what?
The fear of messing up, the fear of talking to a real estate agent and not knowing what to say, and that they're going to come after me. You don't even know what you're talking about. Like I was always scared of that kind of like rejection, or, oh my God, like they're going to think I'm an idiot. They're going to think I'm like a little kid. I don't know what I'm saying. So that always kind of scared me away from, picking up the phone. That's why I'd be shaking, pressing that call button. But yeah, that was definitely the biggest obstacle. And once I tackled that, it's helped me so much mentally with my confidence and everything. Overall.
So let me follow up then. What do you think, I guess, if you were 8 months ago, knowing that how the conversations are, right? Like now that you know that not all agents are smarter than you in terms of real estate, right?
Yeah.
Some are, they're just not, it's part-time for them.
Oh,
that's what I say it. So going back from that 8 months, knowing that you had that fear, what's something you would tell yourself if you could to kind of speed up that process, right? Rather than waiting 8 months, maybe shorten that to 4 months. How would you get over that fear ahead of time, or even give advice to someone newer for that mental roadblock that everyone, has? Because at some point, everyone comes across that.
Well, number one, the reason why people kind of stop and don't really pick up the phone and take that action is because fear and overthinking. When you overthink about something, it's going to hold you back so much from everything, because you're going to be like, okay, what if I'm wrong? Once I started just clicking that call button, it's like, oh, well, I can't hang up now. It's too late. Then that just kind of gets you out your comfort zone and kind of just gets you to be like, you know what? Now I have to talk to him. Think about it like life or death. I kind of think about it like that. So don't overthink it. Click that call button, pick up the phone, and start calling. Because even if you start getting that rejection now or that fear now, it's going to be better later. It's all about consistency. When you first start off at the gym, you're kind of learning form, you're kind of learning stuff. You're not going to be the best, but then once you start getting in that consistency, it's going to start getting easier and easier, because then you're going to start getting better and better.
Yeah, as a recovering overthinker myself, I can definitely concur with everything you said, and it's funny because we, there's a lot of people that fancy themselves as overthinkers, right?
Yep.
And in reality, it's just a bit of a lack of confidence mixed with anxiety.
100%,
It's what are these people going to think of me? If there's anyone listening or watching and they have, they say, yes, Isham, that's me. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like that's me right now. I'm terrified of making that call, or I feel like I need to research, watch every video on agent outreach, and whatnot. What's your advice, other than just do it? Because the simplistic approach works for sure. But do you have other insight or other, advice for that person that is kind of, stuck in that, paralysis by analysis mode?
Yeah. I say, look at your reason why you're making that phone call, why you're about to click that call button. Look at the reason why to remind yourself what you're doing it for. So for example, sometimes I'd even look at I love cars, nice homes. I'd be like, I'm going to do this for a reason. Remember your reason why. So it pushes you to kind of get out your comfort zone. So you start gaining that confidence, and you start, you're just like, what? I don't even care anymore. I'm going to hit that call button. And it kind of prevents you from overthinking, because you have so much like energy at the moment. Like, okay, oh my God, I just saw that nice car. Let me pick up the phone. Let me hit that call button. And that's going to kind of, get that overthinking out of your mind, because you're just thinking about that nice car, that nice lifestyle. And that kind of got the overthinking out of your mind.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
100% remember your reason why.
For my example, when I got my first deal fairly quickly once I started calling, but I watched a ton of videos and podcasts before I started calling, because I knew my personality type. I had to have a basic understanding, and I want people to know that, look, it's okay if you feel like you need to learn some stuff before you get started. Me personally, I would almost recommend that if that's your approach. Just be careful that you don't let it stop you. Okay, I feel confident enough to pick up the phone, but what if they ask me this one question? Now you're overthinking. Now you've crossed from preparation to overthinking. So be careful, because it's a really thin line.
Yeah. It's definitely that once you start overthinking, or you have that one little thing, oh wait, what about if they say like no, what about if they call me dumb or something like that, then that's what's going to kind of prevent you from taking action, picking up that phone.
Regarding personal development, are you a big reader or audiobook guy or podcast, or what's your
podcasts? I love podcasts. I watch podcasts even as we speak today. I love watching the Wholesale Hotline podcast and kind of just going off them and gaining knowledge every single day.
Heck yeah.
From Pace, Brent, and Jamil, and all of them.
So what other podcasts other than Wholesale Hotline? Are you religious to Wholesale Hotline, or is there different, is there 2 or 3 different others that you listen to, or?
Kind of just starting off with Wholesale Hotline, because before I just used to only watch Jerry Norton's videos a lot. So I'm kind of just starting to kind of expand and kind of start watching new things and kind of gaining more knowledge on different things, flipping houses. And
so did you see, when you started listening to podcasts after you once found out, about wholesaling essentially, did you see it almost at times as a roadblock? Like you're taking in all this information, right? And then that's where the overthinking comes in, because you hear something on a podcast and then you've never heard of that before. So now you have to, literally the oh crap moment. I don't even know what they're talking about. So did you use because when I first started, for example, when I was listening to podcasts and just diving into all the information on wholesaling, and there would be times where I'm listening to podcasts and something comes up and I'm like, oh crap. And I would use that as a mental excuse for myself to not start that day or whatever it was. Do you find yourself listening to podcasts and having that same reality where you almost use certain things that you hear as an excuse not to do something in the business?
Yep. I remember when I was about 16 years old, I was watching Jerry Norton on the phone, and he was kind of talking to the sellers, and the sellers were saying some words like, oh, this is a trust, this is an estate. And I'm like, what are they saying? Like, I don't even know this. Like, maybe I should deep dive, do all my research first and kind of take action, or, maybe I'm just too young for this. And I don't know, overthinking would just go through my head, just kind of watching that. I always just have those moments of just kind of stress, is this worth it? Should I start? And that's 100%. That's where the overthinking comes in.
What's funny about that is I remember, probably last month you had called me on a deal and you're like, oh, it's in an estate. It's in, what do I do? And I was like, do you remember what I told you to do? I said, just go call the title company.
Exactly. That's what I did.
Solution that people overthink though, right? That's a situation where you locked up a deal. You didn't know that it was even in the estate till after you put it on the contract. And so instead of full on panic mode, I literally I remember you calling me. I was like, Reda, just call the title company. Because if you have any questions, they're not that was my biggest fear. That was honestly, title companies were my biggest fear starting. It wasn't agents. It wasn't getting told no. It was, I don't want to call a title company and sound like a complete doofus and ask them a dumb question. But the reality is, just like anything in this business that people will soon to realize if they haven't already, is that, dude, you can tell the title company straight up, this is my first deal ever. I don't know what I'm doing, but guess what? They're going to be more than willing to help you.
Oh, 100%.
That's one of those mental roadblocks that not only held me up, I know it holds a lot of other people up, because title companies are big and bad and scary, and they've got to close the deal and they've got to do all this other stuff. But again, just like with you in the estate, that's one phone call you can make to figure out exactly what's going on, rather than just Googling, reading a whole bunch of paragraphs on what an estate is and reading thousands of definitions of everyone's opinions. It takes one phone call and taking action, like you said. So
even with real estate agents too, like Jerry Norton said, don't be scared. If you don't know what something is, ask about it. So if they say something, about a certain kind of sale, or for example, the property has liens on it, don't be scared to ask, what do you mean by that? Or, what are liens? What do they owe? How much do they owe? Don't expect to just know that. Don't be afraid. Ask questions. Ask the agent questions. They're not just going to be like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, hang up the phone. No. I guess that's what goes through people's minds. Okay, let me learn everything first, and then I'll start taking action. Let me know all the real estate definitions. Let me know everything about it, and then I'll start taking action. And I had that same mindset kind of going into this business, but then you'll gain knowledge watching podcasts, watching YouTube videos, all that, but you will not. It's different. It's not the same than just taking action. Taking action and watching stuff is two completely different things. You're going to learn way more if you just hop in the game and take action.
So let me ask you this then, Reda. Again, knowing everything you know now, what's the bare minimum you think, knowledge-wise and mentally, someone needs to start, right? Does that make sense? You just need to know the definition of what a property is and an agent, and you feel comfortable telling someone that they can start this business? Or what's the bare minimum, not only mentally, but knowledge-wise, that you would tell someone that is ready to start without them having analysis paralysis, if that makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, 100%. I'd say watch How to Wholesale Real Estate. Watch the basics. Watch the process, how it works. Get the understanding of that. Maybe watch a few, calls here and there, how that would go, and just pick up the phone. Or not even watch the calls, just kind of pick up the phone and just kind of take that action.
Yeah, and I guess I guess my question was, and your answer is obviously 100% right. You're never wrong, essentially. It's your answer, right? But I kind of wanted to go a little more in depth about that, right? Like, rather than just watching a video and essentially, they say put a property under contract, sell the contract, go to a buyer, blah, blah, blah. But just beginning, before you make your first phone call, what do you need to tell yourself just starting out? Or I guess, what would you tell someone else? Like, do they just need to know the definition of a house? Like, again, looking back, where would you feel comfortable starting? Because like me, I learned so much. I overlearned. That's what kept me from taking action was I overindulged in all because it's a lot of information, right?
Yeah, it is.
But if I could go back knowing what I know now, bro, I would just need to know like who to call and like 5 questions. And I would feel comfortable telling someone that's what it takes to start, because like you said, you learn way more from taking the action than 100%. You do because you're applying it, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
When you're just,
I say,
go ahead.
I say just learn the basics of like what it is, what to do, investment properties, kind of look on Zillow, kind of scan, look at the market, see how everything is, and kind of just kind of start off doing it that way. 100%. taking it slow and just kind of looking, like, okay, that makes sense, and kind of getting the understanding of real estate, how it works, how to call, what to say on the phone, just kind of those things. And I'd say just take action. Don't like me and you did, Tanner. Like I over studied and I over like, okay, I need to learn all of this before I start. And I kind of wasted so much time. And what people don't realize, time is so precious. So like use your time wisely. Don't waste your time. Just take action.
So do you, would you recommend someone who is getting started to go out kind of on their own, watch some videos and make some phone calls? Or do you think it's a great idea for, folks to squat up and maybe look for other people that are in the area, close to them that they can meet up with, or maybe someone who's interested in something that they're, in a like market or something? Or do you recommend that approach as well? Or would you say, no, it's best to kind of learn on your own? Or
I say network with people. That's the best way you're going to learn. And I've learned so much working with Tanner. He's taught me comping and all that. I say when you go to just someone that knows what they're doing, they're going to help you so much, and you're going to be ahead of the game so much better than other people that are trying to hop in, by themselves. So I say, yeah, go out, network, get to know people, because connections is everything in this business. Networking is everything in this business. So go out, talk to people and connect, network with them. And you're going to be so much more successful in this business, and you're definitely going to close the deal faster.
Awesome.
I say.
Let's do this.
Yeah, go ahead, Isham.
Let's break down your first deal. I'd like to hear about how you got it, the whole process, how it went down, how you dispositioned it. Let's go. I love talking first deals.
So, what I was actually doing in the summer here, I was calling agents about 3 to 5 times. I make about 3 to 5 offers every single day. And here's the thing: when you're making so many offers, you forget the properties you even offer on. So I'm just one day sitting in my room, kind of just looking at properties and stuff, and then I get a call from a buyer's agent. He's like, "Hey, Reda." I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Good." So, that deal that you offered up on, turns out that the, original people that kind of took they won the property. So I kind of lost because they were paying 116 and my offer is 110, and I had to stay firm at my offer. So they paid more, and they're like, okay, they went with this other offer. I'm like, okay. And then he called me back. He's like, turns out they never delivered their earnest money, and they just no show, ghosted them. So then he's like, it's back on the market. They're considering your offer. They countered back at you if you can do 113, cover all back taxes with closing costs. And I'm like, nah, I have to stay at 110. I have to stay.
Hey, Reda, real quick, not to interrupt. Where was this deal? What market are you in?
Indianapolis.
Okay.
Indianapolis. So then, they said 113, cover all back taxes and cover closing costs, and they'll accept it. But I'm like, I know I need to stay at 110. I'll cover closing costs and back taxes. He's like, okay, I'll make this thing happen. And he called me back, and okay, got the property under contract, and then started working with Tanner here, trying to find the the buyer for this deal. And I specifically remember I was working at my day job at Target, and I'm stalking on the floor, putting toilet paper away and stuff. And then so much stuff is happening. Getting calls from Tanner, getting calls from the buyer's agent and stuff. I have to, hey guys, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Go answer the phone, say, okay, I'll be right back. One moment. And we kind of went back and forth with kind of price. Remember that?
It was a back and forth deal, that's for sure.
Oh my God, yeah. So I remember so our end buyer went to go walk the property. He liked it. He wanted to take the deal, but he kind of offered a little less. We're kind of negotiating a little bit, calling back and forth, and then what was it? Shoot.
Well, the cool thing about, my opinion, the coolest thing about this story and this deal is not only was it Reda's first deal, and I was able to be a part of that, which I'm grateful for, but the coolest part was that me and Reda were so, and this is a lesson for everyone. We were not only was Reda's communication with the buyer's agent and the listing agent, because for whatever reason, Reda, correct, the listing agent didn't want to double dip, right? But am I right on that?
Oh no. Oh yeah. So at first, I went to the listing agent and I tried to double dip with her, and she said, no, are you going to sign the contract? Are you a wholesaler and stuff? And I said, I have many different extra strategies when performing on deals. Kind of gave her that, and she's like, what? I can refer you to. I'm like, can you refer me to an agent in your brokerage? It's like, yeah, that works. So then she gets a little fee called designated agency. So she gets a referral fee for referring me to a buyer's agent in her brokerage. And she didn't want to double dip with me because, conflict of interest, and also, are you going to sign it? Are you a wholesaler?
Right.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. The like I said, not only was it your first deal, which is what makes it great, but the actual buyer, and the point I want to get across real quick is that, again, Reda's communication with not only the listing agent, but the buyer's agent, not only he was great communication with myself, but that allowed for all parties, including sellers, both agents, the buyer, to feel very connected on the deal. Like, because we had this thing moved, Reda put it under contract, and I believe 2 days later we had it assigned.
Yep, 2 days. Yeah, it was 2 days later.
So it was a real quick moving deal. But the buyer, even, I remember he offered us, I think, I forgot what it was, but it was like $135,000. I think that's what it was, or whatever it ended up being. But because our communication was so well, and the buyer literally gave us an extra $500 at closing. His initial offer was it was lower, and then we kind of like hardballed him. But my point is how many other buyers would anyone come across that's going to actually give you more money than you already committed for? He committed for a certain dollar amount, but he was just so happy to work with me and Reda because our communication and all the above, that he gave us an extra $500 or $750, whatever that me and Reda split at closing. But I just wanted to use that as an example, that when you're new to the industry, when you're getting into it and you're doing deals, the more honest and open and transparent you can be with everyone, it's just you're just gonna be able to take off in the business. And Reda's 100%. First deal is a good example of that. Because I'll be honest, Reda, also, that's the only deal I've had a buyer commit to a number and then turn around and say, I'll actually give you guys more because you guys were so cool to work with. So, really? And that's awesome. That's a big testament to you, because you're the one that ultimately communicated and held the whole thing together, because it sounds like it was a simple deal, but it really wasn't. I remember me and Reda were on the phone like one day. Me and Reda literally probably had like 40 phone calls, because Reda would call the agent, listing agent would call Reda, and they had to communicate because the sellers were like bitching excuse my language, complaining about taxes.
You could say bitching. We are an explicit podcast, my friend.
Explicit. Okay. So, but anyways, it was cool. So,
I was at my day job, just kind of going back to the bathroom, going back and forth. Like, I don't even care if I lose this job. I'm making this deal work no matter what. 100% commitment in your deal. And I'm like, it's going to happen. And look, it did happen. It's all about that mindset.
So
100%.
So I guess moving forward now, Reda, you're trying to work on getting your second deal. What roadblocks again, or what do you think mentally that has been an issue, or maybe kind of slowed you down, or if anything, and in terms of getting your second deal?
So definitely the declining market. As the market is shifting, it's definitely harder to get a really good deal. On market listings have been listed for way longer now. Properties aren't selling, so it's harder to get that good deal. And also timing. Timing is really crucial in this business. And I want to, make way more time in my day so I can just focus more on this business so I can close more deals. Because the more effort and the more effort and energy you put inside this business, the more results you're going to get. So I feel like time blocking is crucial to kind of scaling and kind of start getting that momentum to start getting that consistency of getting more deals. It's all about time. Time is everything in this business. Because you do not, when you think about it, like after getting in this business, you do not have much time at all during the day. You don't.
No, so it goes by quick.
Oh, it really does. It really does. Time flies by. Sometimes I'm working for 5 hours. I'm like, I thought I just started working. Like it felt like an hour. So it's definitely time and just the market that's getting to me.
Well, you are what I would still consider obviously fairly new, in the business. So as we kind of land this plane, what are some of the what's a word of caution that you would give to wholesalers who are real estate investors who are thinking about getting started in the wholesale world? What's a word of advice that you, who's now working on your second deal, you're super sharp. I mean, you're one of the best communicators over on the phone that I've heard, especially, and to hear your age, it's so shocking. But what's one word of advice or a piece of caution or something like that for new wholesalers?
I say a piece of caution is make sure the deal you're locking up is a deal, because you don't want to waste the seller's time and you don't want to waste cash buyer's time on a property that's not even a deal. So don't, lock up overpriced properties, network with people that know what they're doing, JV with other wholesalers. Once you start making these connections and you start showing like, hey, is this a deal? Should I lock this up? Even if you're new and you're not like 100% sure, they'll tell you, be like, that's too overpriced. See if you can get it a little lower. But I say just don't lock up deals that are overpriced, because it just wastes time on, you're going to build a bad bridge with the seller, and cash buyers are just going to be like, what, I don't even want to hear back from you because you just keep sending me, crappy deals. So I say just make sure your deal is a deal. Don't waste anyone's time, and be fully transparent.
Would you recommend this then to make sure, again, what if you're new and you don't know if it's a deal, right? You're still learning. So you would recommend even new wholesalers going out and squatting up and JVing and asking others, whether it's in a Facebook group or anything along those lines. But just like you said, you do recommend them squatting up. Is that correct?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I really wish I squatted up earlier when I first started this business. And I feel like I would have been way more successful earlier in this business if I did that. Because I feel like a lot of people, they just have this little independent mindset that, oh, I'm going to lock up this deal. I'm going to get $10,000. I don't want to split up. I don't want to work with other people because I want all this money for me. I know what I'm doing. And the truth is you don't know what you're doing. Work with people that actually know what they're doing, and you'll actually, start closing more deals. And I'd rather take a relationship than money any single day.
That's great, man. Like when I first got started, one of the Max Maxwell videos were what I kind of locked into in the very beginning. And I'll never forget, he said, would you rather have half of a watermelon or all of a grape? And he would always say that. And it wasn't until I got into it, because, when I locked up my very first deal, had I not have squatted up, the price that I locked it up at would have been garbage. Like it wouldn't have been worth anything. But because I was like, you know what, I'm going to seek help. I'm going to see if I can, get some other people to help me out. And I did that, squatted up, and I was able to, I think my first assignment started out to be like a 20K. We had to whittle some money off of that, but that's a nice, first paycheck. But that came because I didn't want all of the grape. I was okay with having half the watermelon, which ended up being pretty nice watermelon.
Exactly. And the relationship's going to bring you way much more of a return over time than just working by yourself. Because then you're going to start working with your partner and closing way more deals in the future. So the relationship is key and crucial if you want to succeed and start making more money in this business. 100%.
Awesome. Well, brother, it's been amazing having you on. Thank you so much for your time, Reda. Any parting words or of advice or anything before we cut you loose?
I say, guys, and everyone, just take action. Pick up the phone, take action. It will truly change your life.
So true.
Mentally, and just take action.
Reda, lastly, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you? If someone listens to this podcast, they want to ask you for advice or help or squat up on something, social medias, what's the best way to help you?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. That works. I believe you can just reach out to me on my Instagram at, Reda, Reda_Medrek, Medrek. Just my full name.
Awesome, brother. And what markets are you again? I know you said Indianapolis. Where are you working?
Indianapolis and Jacksonville at the moment.
Heck yeah. All right. So all you Indy and Jacks, Freakville folks, you don't know, Freakville is what we call Jacksonville. For any of y'all they're out there in those markets and you want to squat up with a winner, definitely hit up Reda, Reda_Medrek. Reda, it's been phenomenal having you on, brother. Thank you so much for being one of the elitists. Thank you again, brother. And I hope you enjoy. We'll see you around.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What up, guys? Thank you for watching or listening to another episode. And look, here's the deal. If you got value out of today's episode, we kindly ask that you subscribe and like and get this bad boy going. And look, if you're in Florida, we're in Florida. That's our marketplace, and we want to help your deals get to the finish line. So if you got any deals that need help with dispo, send us an email. We're at deals@unwindinvestments.com. You can also submit it via our property submission form online at unwindinvestments.com/deals. And guys, we want you to be the next guest on our show. So get out there and hustle and grind and let's get to work. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.